Hi everyone, and Happy New Year from our new palatial studios. They've ponied up the money for you.
It's about time, isn't it?
Your appearance fees apparently have come in as the 2013 edition of the Bison Video Blog. We're going out in style as we get set for the national championship between North Dakota State and Sam Houston State. With Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. We finally have got the days down. We're in now to game week, Jeffrey, for the Bison and Sam Houston State. Round 2 after NDSU won last year 17-6. Give me a sense now. We've looked at each of these two teams for the last 2 weeks. What differences do you see, if any, from last year?
The game's finally here. Isn't it about time? Who's this Cliff everybody keeps talking about? I mean, who cares about the country's financial picture? We have an FCS title game to play. I don't know if there is a lot of difference from last year. NDSU's defense is better, but Sam Houston's offense is better. Specifically, the passing game for Brian Bell. He's a much more accurate passer this year. On the other side of the ball, NDSU's offense, I think, is about the same. I think Sam Houston State's is about the same. May come down to those old factors of special teams and turnovers.
Well, defense is also, I think NDSU's defense, you probably say, is better this year than it was last year, which is hard to believe considering the guys they lost from last year's unit, but they're definitely more athletic, and they've shown it all season long.
You know, Coach Bull, get a little zinger on you today, my friend.
Well, I would flip it around. We're leading the country in total defense, scoring defense, in every defensive category. We've lost Colton Hegel and Levon Perry.
That's a good point, Greg.
Thank you very much.
I also wanted to ask you about...
Well, now he'll come and ask me something after the Sam Houston game. See, I told you so.
Well, when I asked him about that, because I asked him about depth, because specifically at linebacker, when you look at that, that's the one area of the field you'd say, well, they're pretty scary thin there.
Yeah, well, and you're right. They are thin out there. They've been playing their starting three almost the whole entire season. I think Esley Thornton has seen some repetitions in the playoff run as we go here. But by and large, they've lost Colton Hegel and Levon Perry, and statistically, they're better than last year. That's really hard to believe. Obviously, some people are filling in, doing the job.
Bobby Ullman has stepped up and played really well. Danny Lukey has stepped up and played really well.
And in the playoffs, Anthony Lavoie, I thought, played a huge factor. The fact he's a 300-pounder in those run-oriented option offenses.
The Wofford game alone, he was huge with a blocked field goal and a couple of big tackles there down the stretch against Wofford in the quarterfinals. You look at the two guys under center, and they are proven winners. I mentioned this on our ramblings last night. Brian Bell's won 30 games for Sam Houston State. Brock Jensen's at 31. These are two guys who have been in the pressure situations. How do you think each of these guys will react on Saturday? This is not their first rodeo either.
No, and they're both still juniors, too, even though they have such a veteran presence. You know, Brian Bell is the son of a high school coach. Brock Jensen was an undefeated state title quarterback in high school. You say he's won that many games. You add the fact he never loses. He just doesn't lose very often.
And the games he has lost for NDSU, they've been close. Eastern Washington, right down to the wire. Indiana State, right down to the wire. Youngstown State last year, right down to the wire. All those games, there aren't being blowouts with Jensen under center. Special teams, you alluded to it just a few minutes ago about how big that will be. That was something we talked about way back in the preseason, actually back to spring football, as NDSU was going to have to replace Ryan Jastrom and Matt Voigtlander, two seniors who seemed just to get better and better as the season went along. And that has been the case with Adam Keller and Ben LeCompte.
I see a lot of Ben LeCompte or Matt Voigtlander and Ben LeCompte or vice versa. Matt, you remember, was a running back who took over the punting jobs his senior year and just got better and better and better. Ben LeCompte's a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman, I believe. And he's just gotten better and better. At one point in the season, he was just over 38 yards per punt. And right now, heading into the title game, he's at 43.3. And that means in the last, especially this playoff run, he's been in the mid-40s to high 40s. And that's just incredible field position difference.
You look at what Adam Keller's done as well, set the single-season record for NDSU for field goal makes. He's been consistent all year long for the Bison. When they've needed a kick, he's delivered.
Yeah, and Ryan Jastrom was the same way last year. Ryan was a guy who just got better as his career progressed. Adam had some injury problems his first 2 years, and I just think he's finally either gotten tougher or shedded those problems and figured them out.
NDSU is 8-1 against members of the Southland Conference. That one loss, you were there in Huntsville in 2009. That was the 3-8 season where Sam Houston won that game 48-45. Is Sam Houston similar to the rest of the teams in the Southland, like Stephen F. and Northwestern State, Southeastern Louisiana, the teams that NDSU has played, or do they have set themselves apart considering how good they've been the last couple years?
Yeah, you're right. I've seen several Southland. I've seen Northwestern State. I've seen Nicholls State. I've seen Stephen F. Austin.
Lamar's in there.
Lamar. I think they are. It's not like in the Southern Conference where you have that triple option effect. I think there's a lot more multiple attacks in the Southland Conference. And in Sam Houston, you have a team that can run the ball with Tim Flanders so well, and now with that passing attack, like we said, it's going to be a two-flank thing that NDSU has to defend. They
will wear the white jerseys on game day on Saturday.
You love those gold jerseys.
I do. You do as well, so don't be the only one there because the Bison are undefeated in. But also, and I had a guy tweet at me at this, that the Bison have been pretty good in the white jerseys the last 2 years. They haven't lost on the road since they've worn them over the last 2 years. Is there any significance to that heading to this game on Saturday? Is that just for us to fill 3 weeks to talk about stuff?
Well, we need some time, stuff to talk about, don't we, in 3 weeks? Nothing. I think they play well in their white uniforms. They play well in their gold. They play, although their 2 losses are in their green uniforms.
That's true.
Get rid of those. Those are those superstitious things. It's going to come down to blocking and tackling.
They're also on the flip sideline. Anything to that? Now, everything is different from last year. They're in a different hotel than they were last season. They're on a different sideline come Saturday afternoon. Is there anything to make of that, considering these guys have been through the wars before?
No, none whatsoever. Okay. That stadium is perfectly symmetrical on either side. I don't think it's going to make a difference. The sun will be shining, so I think one sideline may get more sun than the other.
It's fine by me, considering what we're dealing with weather back here.
But absolutely not.
One real last question before we go. The redshirt freshman, redshirt freshman that went down on this trip, we talked to him last year, the Andrew Oaklands and Josh Colvilles, Joe Higgs that were there, Carson Wentz I remember talking to, who was in the stands on game day on Saturday. How much will that experience help, especially the guys that are playing, Oakland, Haig, and Colville specifically on Saturday?
No, that's where I do think it makes a factor, just in your mental preparation. You've been there, you've seen it, you've seen what the players go through, you see the prep. You see all the activities they do, that bowling competition they have, which I'm sure you'll be covering with.
If I can get into it, it'd be great, yes.
Yeah. You could bowl it?
I'm not.
So, just the fact you've been there before in anything, even on those road trips in the Missouri Valley, if you've been to a stadium, I think it just makes a big difference.
How about you, your mental preparation? You ready to go? This is 5 days with Big E.
Took my hat to the cleaners, got it ready.
We've got a huge week of coverage planned. We'll start on Wednesday with our video blogs down there. We'll have them daily, as Eric Peterson will join us as well. He's got all of his props. He's got to take a separate airplane probably to get everything down there, right?
Well, he's got to take a van at least.
And, of course, we'll be there on game day morning in the tailgating lot, so please join us then as we get set for NDSU and Sam Houston State for the National Championship Saturday at noon on ESPN2.